the Mission Control Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been, 5 years? We actually talk about reminiscing. Our first case we had talked about before. Same with this one.
Yes.
We actually talked about this in episode 30.
Yeah, we did a whole episode on the disappearance of Malaysia flight MH370.
We actually, that was a good episode. We listened back to that.
Yeah, we've had our friend and an aeronautic engineer, Matthew Tout, on to shed some light on some of the technical aspects of a Boeing 777 jet airliner.
Yeah. This case has never really went away or disappeared from the public consciousness. It's been touched on a lot. I think every year there has been new developments, new pieces of the plane being found, but it's been a good 5 years since the actual date of the disappearance, which was March 8th in 2014.
Yeah.
Part of the timeline. But
yeah, and the investigation continued up until January 2017 till they finally officially called it off.
Yeah, after having searched,
120,000 square kilometers in the southern Indian Ocean.
Yeah, they even found, a ship, an old shipwreck from the 19th century.
19th century shipwreck.
Yeah.
Stopped to find some treasure, but no plane.
I think we find this case especially juicy because of, once again, really strange bits of information, things being leaked out, different accounts from different people. The narrative, I guess, from the major news outlets was kind of polarizing between two things. Either the pilot was involved, or there was a genuine crash, and it's somewhere out there in the sea. I think those are the two kind of main angles that the mainstream has taken on.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's just jump straight into what the mainstream media is calling their final conclusion, like their solution.
Yeah,
is they've just written it off as the pilot was a terrorist.
Yeah, or there was some sort of political motivation behind the disappearance. Yeah,
yeah, they're essentially just saying that the pilot went crazy, decided to kill 240 people on board the plane.
Right.
Pretty much end of story. That's what the media is telling us. That's the story we all have to accept, and we just have to move on and accept that there's no plane and 240 people are missing.
Yeah. Really strange, and I think Malaysia, the general consensus from what I've been researching is that they absolutely don't believe that Zahari Ahmad Shah, the pilot, was actually the cause of the crash. Right down to testimonies from close friends and things like that. But I find it really, really strange, and it's a tactic that I always do. Whatever the mainstream news is pushing out, especially publications like 60 Minutes doing documentaries on MH370, they're kind of really, the West in general are really pushing the idea that the pilot was involved directly. Especially US analysts, crash experts. All of the people from the West really are taking the angle that it was a terrorist attack or a suicide mass murder sort of event.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what everyone's been saying. That's been the front cover of some of the Australian papers as well that came out not long ago. And
so, what are some of the fishy things that we can't get off our mind about this case in particular?
It's, I guess, in every event such as this, when they look at the person that was in charge or the person that could be responsible, they always, friends, families, people that knew the people always say that they weren't like that. There was no chance that they could be that. They were happy people, enjoyed their lives, enjoyed their jobs, and they're almost in disbelief that something like that could happen. And you find that in almost all these odd events. In events like that, when things happen, they look at the person and you get all these people coming out that actually knew the people, saying there's no way they could do it.
Or maybe those people didn't know that the individual as well as they thought.
Yeah, just saying
Things
all
like
that
that.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Casting down. And I think you were mentioning before, it's so easy, especially in plane or aviation accidents, to blame the pilot because he's the one responsible for the controls of the plane. Although this is where things get hairy because now, looking deeper at the case, especially Boeing and the systems that they had in place, it's not out of the realm of possibility that this plane could have been taken over remotely. And this is what we talked about, even as far back as 5 years ago, that this plane, this 777, had systems aboard that could essentially be remotely hijacked or taken over.
Yeah, so the Boeing 777 aircraft itself actually had these new fly-by-wire systems installed on the plane.
So that to me is really, really interesting. And I think the first thing, even 5 years ago, we talked about, let's look at the people aboard the plane. Let's kind of delve into who were any patterns at all about the people, the individuals on the plane.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating because when this first happened, 6 years ago? 6 years ago?
It would be 5. No, sorry, 6.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Essentially, the first month after it happened, people were already onto things, and we were already uncovering in that first Mission Control episode 30. We had already picked up on these, let's say, conspiracy theories that were coming out and talking about, I mean, it was on the whole thing about the 2 Iranians that had stolen passports or fake passports on board the plane, but then they were suddenly just dismissed, saying, that happens all the time in Kuala Lumpur. People buy passports.
Right. I even went as far as to look up the social media trail of the 2 individuals, the 2 Iranians, and same MO. It's just very, very created, very recently, very empty,
like a very fabricated social media account.
Yeah, maybe 4 pictures, one of which he was wearing the same T-shirt as the day of the flight. Things that are really kind of weird, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, but also on board the plane were a lot of computer specialists, so people who work with IBM computers. A group of actually 20 people, 20 employees of that company, Freescale Semiconductor Technologies,
right,
were on board that plane. That quickly sparked into the let's just say conspiracy again, where 4 of those people had their 9 names signed to this patent for a new microprocessor chip using ARM architecture, which allows for essentially remote controlling of any devices. I'm talking smartphones, computers and stuff. This is a technology that goes into that.
Real valuable stuff, I guess, in terms of national security even, and perhaps a militarized,
it's definitely technology that can be militarized, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
But so 4 of these people that were signed on with this patent died in the crash, and then supposedly the remaining owner of the patent was this Freescale Semiconductor Technologies based in Austin, Texas, which is owned by the
Blackstone,
which is owned by the Rothschilds. And that became a big fucking thing. Everyone's going, that's a bit fishy.
That got the whole conspiracy world just got hard on.
That's where it got blown.
People got full blown conspiracy hard on.
Conspiracy about that.
Yeah.
But then that quickly disappeared as well.
Yeah.
And
real weird. That, I think a month later, like not even, maybe 4 days after, I think March 14 comes to mind, where they were already accusing these 2 Iranians with stolen passports. And then it was quickly dismissed that, look, Kuala Lumpur is a hub for illegal passport activity. They were just caught up in the mix and they were 2 refugees. That was the spin on that story. And then that quickly was kind of swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, this is an article from March 2014, 16th of March 2014, with a former security officer in Israel saying that he believes that these 2 people could have been involved in the potential hijacking of the plane, but he reckons they couldn't have worked by themselves. Like, they couldn't have worked alone.
Right.
And you're saying, this stuff wouldn't have happened in Israel because Israel's been through so many hijackings that when it comes to airport security, they'll check every freaking hair on your head.
Yep.
And he's saying, a captain who is 53 years old has worked for Malaysia Airlines for 30 years and suddenly become a terrorist.
Yeah.
They're just saying that it doesn't seem straight. And they're saying, if he committed suicide, where's the debris?
Yeah. So I think a very valuable thing to keep in mind with this is that to this day, the full contents of the plane or the remaining parts of the plane have not been found, or any deceased. But there has been fragments found around the world almost.
Well,
of parts of the the fairings and the panels, and as well as parts of the wing.
Yeah, so a lot of it is, they say, is coming up around East Africa, and they're saying how the ocean currents are just pushing stuff east. So they reckon they found a flaperon, flap track fairing segment, horizontal stabilizer, engine cowling, all that stuff. So just these little bits and pieces that have popped up. The only identifying way, so they're saying that one of these actually had the serial number etched on the plane, which matched that of MH370.
Right.
Again, they're saying that the markings, the logos and stuff are all match what MH370 had.
Was there some weirdness about the Rolls-Royce symbol in particular?
Yeah, I just picked up on this paragraph just saying, the stencils on the RR logo match stencils used by Malaysian Airlines and are thicker than those painted by Boeing. And that just instantly made me think, like, if, Boeing used Rolls-Royce engines, so these planes get... I doubt that the plane gets delivered to Malaysian Airlines completely white and expect Malaysia Airlines to spray paint every bits and pieces. I feel like they would have shipped the Malaysian Airlines plane with the Rolls-Royce stickers already on the engine. It's kind of like their label, you buy something and it comes with your freaking label on it. Mm-hmm. So why would Malaysia Airlines go and repaint Rolls-Royce logo on the plane and use thicker serifs?
It kind of, I feel like it does seem like a stretch, but a lot of people are questioning the authenticity of these plane parts, including the mainstream news. It looks like...
Well, what really bugs me is this idea that all these bits of the plane have been hidden away. Now, these apparently they've been hidden in storage in Malaysia, and only recent, I think it was this year or last year, they put them on display as part of a memorial.
Yeah.
But have these bits of the plane actually been taken somewhere properly to be verified? Or did they just find them, see, there's a number on it, yeah, that matches, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
But then where's, like, you think there'd be a huge media thing about it, saying we found it, blah, blah, blah. I remember I saw bits and pieces on the newspaper, but it was like no one cared because there was nothing substantial that people could say, this is concrete evidence.
People got really apathetic really quickly about this case.
So, like, I could go out on a total limb and say you could find bits of another plane, quickly airbrush some stickers on it, throw it in the water, wait for it to wash up, and then say it's the plane.
Yeah.
Unless you find...
Case closed.
Case closed, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not ruling out planted evidence. I find that a little bit weird.
Shall we go into a section on a potential, like, why or how it would work with the planted evidence?
Yeah.
Like, so, and for me, I'm the same thing. We're talking a Boeing 777 airliner, 200-foot long, 200-foot wingspan. It is a big fucking plane.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to lose. And I think I said that fucking 6 years ago. It's hard to lose.
Yeah.
And I think I said 6 years ago, they'll probably find it in a couple of months. A plane that big to just vanish.
Yeah.
Okay. And so let's just say that this debris has been planted. Where does it come from? You're thinking to yourself, well, a Boeing 777 just doesn't lie around. You don't just go to a scrapyard and pick up some spare parts and bits and pieces. Well, actually, you can.
Yeah.
Actually, you do. There's a number of Boeing 777s that have either been discommissioned, stored, decommissioned, stored, and actually used for. They go along disassembly. And what they do with the spare parts, they probably melt them down bits and pieces. But it would not be so far fetched as to some, let's say, secret organization going in saying, "Look, we just need a few pieces of a 777.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a lot of money. Don't ask questions."
Scrapyard stuff.
Scrapyard stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And this was actually so there's a lot of things going on about another plane was actually spotted in Israel, in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Who actually have an exact identical Boeing 777-200ER in their yards, and that becomes very coincidental in terms of supposed Iranian involvement with these two people that had fake passports.
Yeah, which Israel immediately pinned on the two Iranians.
Yeah, so people from Israel security people, coming out and saying, that they reckon that was the Israelis are part. Well, those people were part of it.
Yeah.
Whether Israel is part of it, I don't know, but saying that those two Iranians could have been involved in it. And then just having this.
So basically, it's not outside of the realm of possibility to find plane parts.
No.
There are duplicates of this. There's a couple of theories about more than one 777 being used in this exercise.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And to actually confirm that this is from a Boeing 777, I have not seen any.
I was actually, just on the side note, I was really pissed off at the 60 Minutes review on the MH370, the part that was found. Just the room they were keeping it in.
Yeah, just like a shed out the back.
Not even. It was just like a really crappy bathroom.
Yeah.
It just had grey tiles, and this is like top secret, pretty much evidence of potentially MH370, and it's been kept in this really awful room. So you're saying that they could have just let that float in the ocean? Yeah,
I'm saying it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they've taken a few parts of another Boeing 777, marked it up, thrown it in the ocean, waiting for someone to pick it up, and you go, bam, there's your plane.
Just quickly, do we want to touch on the cargo a little bit more? So allegedly, from reports, 90 kilos, or was it 200 pounds?
Just over 200 pounds
of cargo was last minute added to the cargo of MH370.
Yes.
And a lot of people are linking this cargo to what this whole thing is about. So probably a prototype of something. I know that we were talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the missing cargo, it showed up when the flight manifest was released. It showed that this bit of cargo had just been added to the plane at last minute. And it was only labeled as radio equipment.
Yeah.
And they were saying as part of the manifest that the plane was carrying like a bunch of lithium-ion batteries and bits and pieces like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So people were saying, well, essentially you're flying a big bomb, a big can of fuel with batteries underneath of it. But this mysterious load, 89 kilos, was added to the cargo flight list after takeoff. And no one knows exactly what it was. No one knows where it came from. And that's just a little bit suspicious.
Yeah. I feel like it's too coincidental that the plane that went missing is also carrying this unknown cargo that was added last minute.
That's what's hard about it, because no one knows where it came from, what it was, and what impact that could have had on the plane. I mean, 89 kilos, I don't think it would have played any difference to the weight of the plane. So there's none of that sort of problem. But
they were kind of spinning it in a way that was saying that the plane was already overloaded.
Well, that's like...
And they're trying to blame, incompetence on Malaysia Airlines' part, which I don't doubt. But
overloaded might be a stretch.
Yeah.
Because, we're talking 90 kilos. It's like just putting a fat person on.
Yeah.
It's not that... 90 kilos isn't going to make a huge difference to the overall
Yeah.
weight of the Boeing 777. You'd have to be talking a lot of difference.
I feel like diverting because let's talk a little bit about the flight path real quick and why people are theorizing that it landed at a certain US military base. Because I remember even in our first episode, episode 30, Diego Garcia was a real hot talking point at that time, which is the US military base off the Maldives. I think there are a lot of discrepancies as to what angle the plane actually took, but we do know that it didn't head for Beijing at all. So it made a westerly turn.
Now, they're saying that it took off from Kuala Lumpur, heading north towards Beijing, and just essentially as it got over the coast here, it suddenly spun around and started flying southwest out this way. It's essentially straight out into the Indian Ocean. That's what all the flight radar information is saying. That's what everyone's going off, is this idea that it turned around and just started flying out into here somewhere. What made Diego Garcia really strike early in the investigation, I suppose, was people out here in the Maldives reporting seeing a plane flying really low overhead, which was quickly dismissed as they're saying it was a Dash 8 propeller aircraft that was scheduled for arrival. Yet they're saying that there was no record of that flight on the
There's no Dash 8 on the flight logs.
But yeah. I tend to not be quite sure about that because they're saying the person came out and said, "Oh, Dash 8 flight QVA 149," and they're showing the flight things, and there's no QVA 149, but there is like a QS 149. And, we have these mistakes of MH and MAS.
Yeah.
It was even labeled Southern China 748. It was the same airline code for MH370, MAS370. So it's still that 149 is listed there at a different, like half an hour after they allegedly said it was. So there is a possibility that they did see another plane. But it just seemed all too coincidental that they're seeing, people over the Maldives are seeing this low-flying plane. If you've just stolen a plane in midair over here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and you're flying to Diego Garcia, you're going to fly a direct path. All right? A direct path will not take you over the Maldives.
Yeah.
You're not going to get close enough to see that plane from the Maldives if you're flying a direct line from up here in Malaysia down to Diego Garcia. You'd have to literally take a wide turn around unless you're actually landing in the Maldives.
Yeah, that came out really early in the game, I think, Diego Garcia. But why they would land there is pure speculation. A lot of people think that was the site where they potentially killed the 240 passengers and took the cargo, whatever was sensitive enough that was worth killing for. But these are really murky speculations that, although they're juicy, it's kind of hard to really verify.
Some of the interesting stuff that has come out in terms of, let's say, activity around these areas.
Right. No, this is a very good point because are you talking about the radar signals cutting out?
Some interesting bits and pieces was with what they call these hydroacoustic stations. HA01, which is off Cape Leeuwin in Western Australia, has an array of microphones, as well as HA08 in Diego Garcia. But what is strange is the HA08 signals from Diego Garcia were distorted, which is believed to be caused by a military exercise on that side of the ocean. And they believe, as well as 25 minutes of data is missing. As well as, at the same time, Diego Garcia had shut down incoming and outgoing flights for 72 hours.
Yeah.
There's some reports saying that they had requested some delivery. Don't know where that comes from. Can't call that credible. But again, I find it strange that there's these supposed military activity,
all the activity
things happening, right when that shit goes on.
A real coincidental timing that in that whole area of the alleged flight path of 370, there's all this activity happening. You've got military drills. You've got data missing for that select period of time. You've got Diego Garcia themselves shutting down for 3 whole days.
Yeah.
During that same time.
Yeah.
You've got alleged, metadata from phones of people allegedly held captive at Diego Garcia.
Yeah, okay. Let's.
Well, that's getting that's black belt. Is that black belt?
That's soon. But
all right, that's black belt.
What's interesting about these hydroacoustic stations and the recordings that they found, they essentially came up with these 2 possible routes for it. One heading straight south past Western Australia, the other flying almost directly to Diego Garcia. But they also have picked up here military action recorded as if there were other military flights or things happening around Diego Garcia at that time. Now, there could be a lot of stuff happening around Diego Garcia.
Absolutely. And just to I know we're not going to talk about it now, but just to touch on it, one of the wives of the passengers on that plane states that she believes that MH370 was almost escorted by other military planes at the time, which would account for the military activity over the site of the disappearance. I just find that really weird.
Well,
not verified, but conspiracy theorists love...
Not verified, but it's...
I love shit that's not verified.
It's an interesting... I'm trying to find that article.
Yeah.
So apparently there was a guy on board the plane who worked for IBM who had reportedly hid his phone down his pants or some shit like that and was able to send a photo with a voice message. It was just a blank photo with a voice message that essentially said that he was being held in a cell. He thinks he'd been drugged. The plane was hijacked.
That individual, by the way, is Philip Wood.
Philip Wood, yeah. And
from IBM. He's an engineer. And
the thing is, so with the photo, like, that's the thing. I don't know if I can't remember if I found the photo or where it comes from, but the EXIF data that is associated with the actual photo that shows the the phone it was using was an iPhone 7.
iPhone 5.
iPhone 5, actually. Yeah. The shutter speeds, the ISOs, everything associated with the photo, as well as supposed coordinates, geolocation or something on the photo.
The geotag on the photo,
which puts it in the middle of Diego Garcia.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah. The photo that he took was just a black photo. A lot of people think he wasn't trying to take a photo. It was just a dark room. It wasn't about the photo. It was about the audio clip that he was trying to send.
And I would love to hear that audio clip. I don't know where the audio clip comes from.
Yeah. But we do know what he said, and I'm just going to read it out real quick. This is the text message sent to his wife, and this is Philip Wood. I have been held hostage by an unknown military personnel after my flight was hijacked. I work for IBM. I have managed to hide my cell phone in my ass during the hijack. I have been separated from the rest of the passengers and I am in a cell. My name is Philip Wood. I think I have been drugged as well and I can't think clearly. So this was a text message. And like you said, the metadata leads back to Diego Garcia. The reason I'm a bit dubious about that info is that publications like The Sun, the tabloid newspaper, are posting this. Whether you can't just ignore info like that, but I call into question the validity of it. But crazy.
Yeah.
If that's real,
I mean, exactly.
That opens a whole. This is a military, a planned exercise with people being held hostage over this,
Yeah.
probably this alleged cargo.
And but again, we say we can't really verify that because we don't have that photo. We don't know where it is. And you're saying that the certain tabloids. At the same time, I look at it and go, well, that's not the sort of thing mainstream media are going to publish. People have to find their own means. And that's why a lot of these sort of under the radar articles come out where people are releasing this sort of really strange, vague information about these claims that they say
but they're very specific.
Witness things.
Yeah, they're very specific claims. And when you read through them, every bone in your body is screaming like, this is not verified. But when you read about things like people with access to the Kremlin, people actually hearing down the grapevine that this is a military exercise. This is a huge thing.
Yeah, when people start referencing Russia, and so I'll bring up something a bit later that supposedly through Russian intelligence networks, it was believed that the Russians actually had surveillance on this aircraft as well.
Before the event.
Like,
they had their eyes already on the plane.
And the Russians had surveillance on this plane as if that plane was a target